In this Elementor Pro tutorial, I'm going to show you step by step how to build this landing page from scratch. This landing page is very important because it allows you to generate leads that you can email later on. So this would work really well for small business owners, bloggers, or even on your own website. Now for this, I'm going to be using Flexbox because this allows us to build complex layouts, and I'll also show you how to make this mobile friendly. All right, so without wasting a lot of time, oh, I almost forgot. If you purchase Elementor Pro using my affiliate link, I will give you access to my Elementor Mastery course. This is a course that will get you up and running with Elementor super fast. All right, so over here, you can see I have already Elementor installed and I'm using the cloud version. I'll also leave a link to that in the video description below. So the very first thing you want to do here is to come over here to Elementor, click on Settings. Next, you want to come over here on Features, and then you want to make sure that Flexbox container is activated. So now let's start working on our page. So I'm going to come over here to Pages and then click on Add New. Let's give this page a name. I'm just going to call this Landing and then click on Save. So this now is going to redirect us to a brand new page where we can start designing our page. And here we are. So right away, because this is the landing page, we don't need the header and the footer because that's just a distraction on our main landing page. We just want to focus on the message and the message only with the call to action. Okay, so what we're going to do now is we're going to come to this little button here, which says Post Settings. Come all the way to the bottom and hide the title because we don't need this title here that says landing. So I'm going to click here, disable the title, and then over here on the page layout, I'm going to go in and set this to Elementor Canvas. So in a moment, you're going to notice now that we don't have a header and a footer. This is now a clean design. Okay, so what we're going to do first now is to add our first container. So I'm going to click here on this plus button. And this is the direction that I need to have on my first container. Next, we are also going to add another container inside this one. I'm going to click on this plus button. And this is the container, drag and drop it in like that. And now I can start adding all my content. So to do that, I'm going to click here on this plus button. So the very first thing I'm going to need to do is to add a heading. So I'm going to drag and drop it, but outside this container here. So you can see this one here is still free, which is exactly what we need. Okay, so the next step now is to duplicate this. So I'm going to right click and duplicate. Okay, so now we have these two containers inside this big container. In a moment, you'll see the reason why I am doing this. It's because I want to add different layout options as I'm designing this. Okay, so now that I have this all set, the next step now is to start adding all our content. So I'm going to click here on this plus button to add even more content in here. So the very first thing I'm going to do in here is to add an image. So I'm going to drag, drop it. I'm going to click over here on choose image and I'm going to choose the image and it's going to be this one right here. I'm going to click on select and now my image has been selected. The next thing I'm going to add is a form. So I'm going to click on this plus button and let me search for my form here because this is what we need for our visitors to add their email address. So I'm going to drag and drop it just like that. Now you can see this one here is on the top. This is on the bottom. That's not ideally what we need. So I'm going to click over here and change my direction. So I'm going to come over here and choose row. So now I have my email opt-in here and I also have my image over to the right. Okay, excellent. Now, if I want to change this around, what I could also do is to say a row reversed. And now I've just switched that over. And then over here for my spacing, I can choose my spacing like that and just leave this as it is for now. Okay. Next, we're going to come over here to the bottom. So this is where I want to add some features of what it is that we're giving away for free. And to do that, again, we're going to change our layout so that it looks all great. So for this one here, I'm going to click on this plus button and it's going to be my icon box. So I'm going to search for icon box like that. And then I'm just going to drag and drop it in here like that. Okay, so now this is going to need a bit of work. So let's go in and start working on this. So I'm going to click here on this gear icon. In fact, you know what? Before I do this, we might as well add our image here in the background so we can see what colors we are working with. Because if I start designing this, I won't have an idea of how the background is in order for me to adjust my contrast. Okay, so I'm going to first of all start by clicking here on my main container. So for my minimum height, I'm going to change this from pixels to VH. Next, I'm going to set this to 100 because I want this to fill up the whole screen. Okay. The next step now is to align this to the center. So I'm going to come over here and click on center. So now all my content is in the center. All right, great. The next step now is to add a background image. So I'm going to come over here to style, click on background, and I'm going to add my image. Click here on this plus button. So I already have an image here. So since this is about healthy eating, I'm going to add this image because it will work with our messaging. Because if you're going to have something related to food or healthy eating, you want the images to also be close to that. If you're having something about fitness, then you also want to have an image of people working out and so on. Okay, so let's continue on. Now that I have my background image here, I also want to add an overlay because my text here will not look great on this background. So we need to darken this background image. So to do that, we're going to come over here to background overlay. Next, we are going to go to our background type and let's add a color. So I'm going to click here on this area here, choose black as my color. So by default, this is at about 0.5, but this is not dark enough. So I'm going to increase this to make it even darker. So usually I go with 0.7 or sometimes 0.72. So let me just leave it at 0.7 like that. So whatever text I'm going to add now, it's going to be easier for me to see this on a dark background. So let's go ahead and fix that. Okay, so let's start here with this area here. I'm going to click on this pencil icon and let me start by adding my icon in here. So I'm looking for a heart. Add that one, insert. Okay, great. Now my text here, as you can see, it needs to be white or at least light. But before I do that, I just want to come over here and set this to stacked. And then I'm going to come over here to style. So this is where I'm going to go in and add all my styling to my information that is here on the page. All right, so I'm going to start off with my primary color here, which is the background of this item. So I'm going to click here. And the color I'm going to choose is white. And then I'm going to add some transparency, just like that. I'm going to go really down because I want this to be a slight hint. Okay, so now that I have that all set, that's looking great. Next, let's set our size. At the moment, in fact, this is our icon. Let's go to our size. I'm going to come over here and set this to EMs. I prefer using EMs. So I'm going to set this to 2. Okay, so that's looking great. And over here on the border radius, let's set this to, let's say 10 or maybe 16. There we go. Okay, I think I'm going to go with 16. And then my icon here also needs to change. So I'm going to come over here to my secondary color, click here, and I'm going to choose my color like that. So now that I have this all set, the next step now is to work on the text. So I'm going to come over here to content. So first things first, I'm going to start with my color here. Click on my primary and then choose my color like that. Now, as you can see, it's easier to read. So while I'm here, I'm going to go to my typography right away and change this from 65 because 65 here is way too big. I'm going to come over here to EM and I'm going to set this to 1.2. So this is just my starting point. I might change this as I'm designing this. Okay, so I've got that. Now I will need to go to my description. And again, this needs to change. Okay, so now it's easier to read. I'm also going to change my size here. So let's change this to EM. And I'm going to set this to EM. And I'm going to set this to 1. And my text here is a bit too light. I want to change this to normal. There we go. So that's looking much, much better now. So now that I have this all set, all I need to do now is to duplicate this. So I'm going to right click and do this twice. Okay. Now that I have this duplicated twice, I need this in a row. So I'm going to come over here to my container, change my direction, and now everything is in a row, which is exactly what I want. All I have to do now is to go in and say feature 1, feature 2, and feature 3. Okay. So I'm going to start typing here, feature 1. Go on to the next one here. I'm going to set this to feature 2. And by the way, we're going to be using AI to work on this. So it's going to be very exciting. And then over here, I'm going to set this to feature 3. So I'm going to type that again. Excellent. So now that I have all my features, that's looking great. Now let me try and space this out. I'm not sure why this is not spacing out. In fact, I'll come and fix this in a moment. Okay. So now that I have my icons, in fact, you know what? For feature 2, we might as well go in and change our icon here. So let's see what comes up when I type in health. Nothing. And you see, this is the problem with these icons. Sometimes you go in and expect that when you type in something here, it's just going to show up. So now I'm left with going through the whole process of scrolling through this until I find my my desired icon. So let me just add this one here and then move on to the last one. If I could find something that's to do with working out or running quickly, that'll be awesome. In fact, let me add this bike here. All right, fantastic. So now I have all my icons in place. Let's take a look at our form here, because I don't want this text showing, and also that part which says message does not need to be there. So to fix that, you can just come over here and delete that. So all I have now is name and email, and my input size, I think that's fine. I don't want to show my label, so I'm going to get rid of that. So I may need to go in or come in here and fix my sizing here, because as you can see here, I need to go in and customize this because the size is not right. Okay. In fact, I will come and fix this. All right. So the next step now is to come over here to my main heading. So I'm going to click on that and let's change our color style. I'm going to come over here and set my color to something white or something that's easier to read on a dark background. The next step now is to center this text. So I'm going to come over here now to advanced, because I think that's where my align is. And sure enough, it is right here. And I may also need a subheading over here. So let's click on this plus button and add our subheading. Drag and drop it here. Oops, did that work? No. There we go. All right, so I've got my subheading. I'm going to come back and change that color because I can't read it. It's on a dark background. And now that I have this, I need to center it and increase the size. So I'm going to click here on typography, and then I'm going to set this to EMs. I think this is a bug. Sometimes it won't go to EM right away. Not sure if it's a bug or not. So I noticed that sometimes I have to change it to rem, and then that shows up. So let's set this to 1.3. Okay, that's big enough. And the lightness here, I think is fine as well. But you know what? No, let's keep this normal. Okay, so now that I have this and it's all centered, that is looking great. And finally, what I need to do now is to just go in and fix the spacing. So I'm going to start here on the bottom. I'm going to click on Edit Container. So with this container selected, we notice that our gap between items is 20. Usually I leave that as it is, but I don't like the fact that everything is way too close together. So I may need to wrap this to make things work even better. All right, so let's go ahead and do that. I'm going to click on wrap, and you notice that everything now is one on top of the other. So the very first thing I need to do is to change my width. So at the moment, our width is set to 80 pixels. I don't know why that will be set to 80 pixels by default. So let's set this to 100. Okay. And now I'm going to come in and give this specific sizes. So I'm going to click here on the top one, on the top feature 1. And then I'm going to come over here to style. Now, sometimes when you come in here, the sizing is on the style and sometimes it's on the advanced. So you just need to go in and just check. All right. So here it is. It's in advanced. So what I need to do is to set this to 33%, or in fact, I will set it to 28. So now this has a specific size, which is great. Next, I am going to come to this one over here. Let me see if I can just copy the style. So I'm going to copy and paste the style. And sure enough, that has worked. And I'm going to do the same to the bottom one here. Great. So now everything is all in place. Over here now, on the main container, I can now play around with the sizing, and you can see now I can space them evenly, and now these are going all the way to the edge, which is exactly what I was looking for. Okay, great. Now, it's also very good that while you're designing this, you also want to see what it looks like on your mobile devices. So we might as well now go in and start tweaking this for our mobile devices as well. Okay, so for our mobile devices, while this is selected, I'm going to click here on the tablet, and you notice that everything is all squashed together. I don't like that. So there is a quick fix. I can just come over here and change the direction to vertical. Now you notice that when it's vertical, everything now, the sizes have all changed, and it's looking like, okay, let's put it this way. It's not looking great. So I'm going to come over here to the first one, and I'm going to set my width here to 100. And this needs to be %. So let's do it one more time. There we go. So now it's set to 100%. I'm going to copy this and then come to the second one, paste style. I'm also going to do the same here, paste style. Okay, so on the tablet, this is what it's going to look like. So all I have to do now is to give this a bit of breathing space. So I'm going to click here on my main container, which is this one here that has all my items inside. And with that selected now, I'm just going to change my width here to 80. And for my mobile portrait, I'm going to do the same. But you know what? This one here looks great already, so I don't need to go in and make any changes. All right, great. So far, I have sorted out the issue here with the first one. So let's go in now and work on the second container. So I'm going to do exactly what I did the first time. I'm going to come over here and set this to %, and then this needs to be 100. And now by doing that, you notice that everything now fits in really, really well. So let's give these specific sizes. So I'm going to come over here on this image, come over here to style, and for my width here, let's try 50%, or in fact 48. So I'm going to type in here 48, and you can see now that's looking great. Now over here to the right, let me go in and also set it. So I think it's going to be an advanced, and sure enough, here it is. Let's set this to 48, and now it's looking much better. So these are now side by side. We're going to do what we did last time, and that is to see what it looks like on mobile devices. So on the tablet, side by side, seems okay. But I would prefer to have this image on the top and then the form on the bottom. So first of all, I'm going to reverse and have the image on the top. And then I'm just going to go in and change the size. So in the advanced here, it's at 48 pixels. Let's change that to 100%. And I'm going to do the same for the form as well. It's on 48. I'm not sure why it defaults to pixels. But anyway, here's what we need to do. So this is going to be stacked on my tablet, and we might as well do the same for our mobile. Now look how beautiful that is on the mobile device. That's looking really good. I like that. All right, brilliant. Let's do the same now for the text. In fact, this text here looks great as it is. You can see here that's fine. On the tablet, that's also fine. And then on the desktop, it's pretty much doing okay. I think this one here just needs a bit of work. So I'm going to click on the pencil icon, go to my tablet. Okay, here it's fine. Let's go to our desktop. And right now it is not centered. So let's go ahead and center it. So I'm going to come over here and center it. The size seems okay. So I'm not going to play around with that. Now, as I'm looking at this, I noticed that here on our blurbs, this doesn't look really well. I want to go in and give this some breathing space and perhaps maybe give it a background color, because I want it to stand out and show that these are not just one thing. They're all separate. So let's try and design this further. So while this is selected, I'm going to go into my padding here and start with, let's say, percentage. Let's try 20%. Okay, so it has applied 20% all around. Let's bring this down to about 10. Let's see what that looks like. Okay, I think 10 is better. Now let us add a background color in here. So to do that, I'm going to come over here to Style. And where's our background? I guess we need to do it. So I guess we need to come over here to Advanced. And there we go. We have our background over here. I'm going to click here. And I'm going to start off with black and see what that looks like. So I'm going to drag my slider all the way down here to the bottom. And then I'm going to increase this to black. Okay, so with black activated, it doesn't look too bad, but I think it's too aggressive. We want to see a bit of what's there in the background. Now you notice that I'm sliding my slider all the way down, and I'm going to go all the way to about just about there, because this is not showing all the content in the background, but just enough to see that we have a slight design here. Okay, so with that selected now, I'm going to also add some rounded corners. So I'm going to come over here to Style, and our border radius here is 16. And I think it's for our icon because that's what's selected here. Let's go back to Advanced because this is where it is. So we have our padding, but we need our rounded corners. So we're going to come over here to border. All right, so let's set this now to about 20. Let's see what that looks like. I'm going to click away. Yeah, I think 20 works fine. I'm going to now copy and paste the style in here like that. And look at that. That looks much, much better now. Paste style. Great. So now that I have all my icons all set, let's take a look now on our tablet and see what that looks like. So I'm going to scroll down, and you can see now this is much, much better than what we had before because I have that design element on it. Okay, great. And for our mobile, even better. Even the spacing looks much, much better. All right, fantastic. I'm happy with that. Let's go back to our desktop. So over here on the form, it doesn't really need much work. Let's go in now and add more information. So here I've noticed that let's take a look and see what our layout looks like here. Okay, our width is 80, minimum height is that. Okay, that looks great, but over here on the padding, I want to set a specific padding here. Let's go with about 4%. Now you notice that by default, this is set to pixels. So I'm just used to, I guess maybe it's because I'm used to Divi. Okay, I'm going to break the chain, and then on the top here, I'm going to set this to 4. And I'm also going to do the same to the bottom so that we have enough breathing space. Now, sometimes I set this to 6. Let's see what that looks like. 5, 6. Okay, I think that's much better. So on the bottom here, we're just going to add some testimonials. So again, I'm going to add my direction. Click on this plus button, and we're going to add our heading, drag and drop it, and we might as well center it. And I'm just going to go in and say testimonials. Okay, great. Next, I'm also going to add a few testimonials in here. So to do that, I want to add its own container. So I'm going to drag and drop it in here. Click on this plus button and search for testimonial. So here it is. I'm going to drag and drop it. And just like what we did before, I need to go in and first stylize this, but I don't want to go crazy because this here already looks okay. So all I'm going to try and do is to add my image. So I'm going to come over here. Hopefully I have an image I can just quickly add in here without going and downloading images. In fact, this one works great. I like that. But we just need to go in and fix this because the name here is way too big. I'm going to come over here on the style, and then for my typography here, on the name. Now making sure that you choose the right item. So this is set to 65 pixels. We don't want that. So let's set this to about 1.2, and I like that. Okay. So we are going to do what we did here, a similar style. So let me see if I can copy this and paste it. Now I haven't done this before, but I'm curious to see if I can just paste the styles. And sure enough, this doesn't work. So let's go in and manually do this. So I'm going to click here on this pencil icon and let's start working on, oops, that wasn't selected. Let's do it one more time. Okay, so now with that selected, I need to add a background. So I'm going to come over here. And first of all, we need padding. So let's set this to percentage, like that. And we're going to set this to about 4%. Great. Right. So now that we have that, we need a background color. Come over here. Now I just need a very light color. I don't need anything crazy. So I'm going to click here and I'm going to go for a very subtle gray. I think that should do. Okay. EF, EF, EF. All right. So I can see that something here is not showing. Let me go back to my style. So what do we have here? We have the name, we have the title. So I think it's the title that's not showing. I'm going to go in and change the color. There we go. But then again, you know what? That title is way too big. So let's go in and fix that. Change this to 1 EM. There we go. So that's looking much better. So finally, I just need to add some rounded corners here to finalize my design. So I'm going to scroll down to border, and for border radius, okay, let's go for 16. Okay, so that's looking much, much better. I'm going to right click and duplicate this a few times. 1, right click, 2. Okay, so that's looking great. Now I can click here on this container and change the direction by clicking over here. So now we have all this set, but we still have the issue that we had before, and that is they're not well spaced the way I want. So this doesn't work. So I may need to change this to 100% on the width. So let's do that. Percentage, 100%. Okay, so now everything is all centered. So the reason is, I guess it's because this was set to 80%. That is why it wasn't working. But as soon as I change this to 100% over here, this now is looking much, much better. Okay, great. The next step now is just to come over here to my main container and change my minimum height to VH. And this time I'm going to go with, let's try 60 and then center everything like that. So now these are our testimonials. I may even go for, let's go with 70. Okay, how about that? Okay, so now we have our testimonials. The only thing that we need to do now is to go in and add our copy for this page, and we are going to be using Elementor AI Assist because AI is already on this version of Elementor, which is pretty cool. All right, so let's go ahead and do that. So this is going to be a landing page for, let's say, anyone that wants to give information or share information about healthy living. So let me go ahead now and start generating my text. So I'm going to click here on the main heading. And I'm going to click on this little button here that says Write with AI. All right, so I'm going to say, give me a description for a healthy website or health living website or something along those lines. Write a headline for a, so let's call this healthy living giveaway. So I want to see if this AI thing has an idea of what it is that I'm talking about when I say giveaway. Generate the text. Okay, win the ultimate. Oh, okay. So win the ultimate healthy living makeover. Enter now and upgrade your lifestyle. So what I'm going to do now, let's go back to new prompt and remove giveaway. So I'm going to say healthy living tips and see what it comes up with. Okay, boost your health and wellness with these easy to follow living tips. Okay, I think that's cool. I'm going to use that. I'm going to say use text and let's center it. And this is now way too big. So I want to quickly go in and style this. So let's go to typography. Let's set this to EM. Let's try 2 or maybe 2.2. Let's try 2.4. Okay, we're going to go with 2.6 or maybe even 2.8. So for this, I'm going to say, give me a subheading for my health and wellness site. Click on generate and let's see what it's going to say. Achieve optimal health through mind and body balance. I think that works okay. So I'm going to say use text. Yeah, I think that's fine. And then over here, we don't really need to do much. And let's start now with our features. So I'm going to click here. So on this option here, you may always want to make sure you come to contents. And then for the description here, what I'm going to do to save me a lot of time is to say, give me 3 benefits of living a healthy lifestyle. So I'm going to generate the text. So the idea here is to save me a bit of time so I don't have to keep going in and typing the same sort of prompt. So with this now, if it gives me 3, I'm just going to go in and, okay, this is what it has given me. Now, I don't like this. I would have preferred this to be just 1 by 1. So I'll just need to copy all this. And let me just paste it here on my notepad. All right, so for now, let me just close out of here. So for the first one, I'm going to go in and paste my first feature. Okay, so this one here is my second one. I'm going to go in and paste it. It's a bit more text. So I may want to go in and readjust this so that this looks like it is the same information. All right, so for our final one, I'm going to come over here and paste this. So as you can see, the icons also work because they're pretty much talking about what it is on these icons. So now, I mean, there's just too much text here. So ideally, I would like to reduce this text. So I'm going to use the AI and see if this can reduce the amount of text that I have here on my features. So I'm going to click here on this pencil icon like that and go to my AI assist and make it shorter. Okay, I think I like that. I'm going to say use text. Come over here to the next one. Again, I'm going to go in and make it shorter. Okay, I like this. So a balanced diet, exercise, and no smoking lowers risk of chronic disease. Fantastic. And then over here, I'm also going to use AI to help me with this. So I'm going to say make it shorter. Fantastic. Look at that. So this has simplified my design. And now let me just publish this page. And I'm going to have a look at this page in a new tab and see what we have so far. Okay, so in terms of layouts, I like what is happening here. I also like my testimonials here on the bottom, but my text here is a bit too big. I may go in and fix that. And for my icons, I'm not sure if I just should make them white. Okay, I may decide that. But over here, I think pretty much everything is looking great. I may need to reduce this because it's too wide. So let's go ahead and address that quickly. So I'm going to come over here, go into this main heading area here, advanced. So let's bring this down a little bit to maybe about 70. Okay, we're going to save that. So finally, all I've done here is I've just added this heading, download your free health and wellness guide, and then also this 100% free. So let's take a look now and see if this is mobile friendly. So if I click here on my tablet view, I can see that everything is all stacked correctly. And now let's take a look at our mobile view. And again, this is also looking great. So this is the best way to design your landing page. Now, what you've learned throughout this whole process can be used to design any type of landing page. So you just need to make sure you're using Flexbox because it makes it easy to move things around and make it mobile friendly. And also, most importantly, this is going to be super fast. So I'll be doing a lot more tutorials. So be sure to subscribe and hit the bell notification. If you have any questions, please let me know in the comments box below. Until next time, thanks for watching and I'll see you in the next one. Take care.